Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to your July tarot horoscope. That jumped out immediately. So we're going to go with that one. So I got a card for you for the month of July, and it's the Devil. Here you go, Scorpio. You'll love this one. So here we have this figure here, and they're kind of androgynous or hermaphroditic even. Got a big kind of wild mane of hair, and they're stepping off this cliff. There's these big arms next to them, whether this person is like pushing them off the cliff or trying to hold them back. It's not really clear. Got this big butterfly on a scepter here, and big open blue sky behind them. So that's the Devil card. And let's see what the Devil has to say for us today. It's a great question to ask ourselves. Okay, the Devil. Creative tampering with taboo. The card depicts a hermaphrodite figure with a wild mane, a horned head, and a further horn on one knee, holding a wand or a flute in its hand and bouncing off some kind of pedestal. Two black arms release the figure or try to grab at it. This card appears strange at first glance, but it cleverly avoids a stereotypical portrayal of the devil. So we are able to ask, what meaning does the devil have for us today? Each and every human being brings something new into the world, but we all have certain qualities and peculiarities that do not fit into the present framework. Every human being continues the story of creation, and therefore is bound eventually to enter the realm of taboo. The Devil card clearly indicates that some kind of taboo has been violated. What was implicit now becomes visible. This can be used to your advantage because you can now take on the task of openly dealing with taboos, affirming meaningful ones, and getting rid of others that are senseless. Don't be put off by the bully. This is your chance to break some old horns. On the one hand, the devil represents a vampire and a real burden and vexation. No wonder we are afraid. Yet this is our opportunity to rid ourselves of the darkness that we have finally recognized for what it is. On the other hand, the devil represents the prodigal son, that part of us that we have always tended to deny and neglect, although we secretly and rightfully long for it. Now is the time to bring the prodigal son home. Practical advice. Once you have shed light onto the darkness, the vampire will turn to dust, and the hidden will take on shape and color as it emerges. Dare to face the unknown and observe it closely until you can decide how much of it to use and what to discard. Okay, the Devil card. This card is like got Scorpio written all over it. Dealing with taboo is such a uncomfortable thing for a lot of people, and it's kind of one of the things often a Scorpio kind of thrives on, or rather, you can't avoid dealing with it. That there's a lot of the experiences of being a Scorpio is reaching down below the surface into what is hidden in the darkness and pulling it out and making it be seen. And this can be an incredibly healing process because so much of that is going into what is repressed, what is dark and hidden, what is the poison buried deep inside that's making you sick that needs to come out. But it's also can be really uncomfortable and yucky, and a lot of people can put a lot of judgment of, hey, I worked really hard to shove that down there, I swept that under the rug because I didn't want to deal with it, and now you're pulling it out and showing me how messy my place is. Kind of a big F you. So there's a lot of times that part of the backlash and part of taboo, and by backlash I'm really understating because especially with the religious connotations a lot of the time with this card, there are entire systems of religious systems or governmental systems or cultural systems that are all obsessed with keeping what is taboo under the rug and not letting it come to light. And we have seen, historically speaking, a massive amount of violence done towards the people who would take out the skeletons from the closet and say we need to deal with it. So those who are willing to go under and deal with that are so often faced with a lot of backlash. But in the larger scope of history, when time kind of lets us progress and evolve, those are the people and the movements that we often are most thankful for as they move us forward out of our stagnation or out of our own personal or cultural illness into dealing with it. And as so often is the case, whatever it is that's swept away in the dirt that's there, you put off dealing with it. And when you finally bring it out, you're like, oh, it's gross, but it's actually not as scary as I thought it was. Not being able to see things is what makes them the most terrifying, is you don't know if this monster you've put in the closet has grown since you locked him in there, or if he's actually shriveled and wouldn't be too hard to deal with. So there's so much about secrecy that makes us afraid and that makes other people afraid and does not want anybody to go in there and fight that dragon and bring it out. It's scary for everybody. So dealing with taboo is never like an easy thing, but it's such a critical role, and especially you as a Scorpio, that's often one that, whether you like it or not, you kind of put into, whether because you have the courage to face the monsters and not be too afraid of it because you have that interest of knowing what's underneath, or because you are the one who's so uncomfortable with the thorn in your side that you are going to rip it out, even if it hurts, and other people have just dealt with the pain. You're like, nope, I'm not going to. So that is one of your superpowers. And it seems like it is something that is before you right now. This is a major arcana card, so this is largely like overarching themes. So whether it's a theme in your life that's kind of ongoing, or it's a collective theme. There's a lot going on in the collective that might be dealing with taboo right now. So this is something that's not necessarily going to like tie itself up pretty by the end of the month, but this is a really good month for you to be working at it. The energies that are going to be present this month for July, as I said, the beginning is Cancer season. And so this is kind of an interesting thing to bring. That might mean that there's a lot of taboo or repressed things we're dealing with that have to do with Cancer energy. So in a word, mommy issues. Cancer is the archetype of the mother. So if we're dealing with taboo and repression around mothership, there's all kinds of things that can be. Your mother, your experience as a mother, culture's attitude toward mothers. I'm not like I'm bringing up anything that's happening in the world to do with taboos around motherhood or forced motherhood or anything. So things are present to do with motherhood, and that might be coming up. But what this is also an opportunity. It's not just that there are taboos or difficulties around the concept of motherhood, but one of the ways in which we're going to get through dealing with this taboo is perhaps to bring in Cancer energy towards it, which is like good bedside manner. It's not grabbing somebody by the throat and throwing them into their trauma and saying, you're going to deal with it. This is tough love. We're dealing with taboo now. Like, that's not the vibe. The vibe is some nice bedside manner of some unconditional love, and the gentle mother archetype that's going to take you and take the culture and take us that have trauma and hold us as an infant that is crying and saying, we're going to work on this. Like, you may have to spit it up for a while. Yeah, you're kind of sick, or yeah, we've got to deal with this, but I'm here for you, and I'm going to care for you, and I'm going to try to do it with kindness and with love, so that, because it's really scary for people to face taboo. It brings up revulsion and anger because of the fear that's around it. And so allowing us to be held in our fear and having the patience and compassion to hold others in their fear. And in a larger sense, that's also holding entire cultures and religious systems and understanding that the reason they fight so hard is because there's a core of fear that needs to be spoken to and held in compassion, or they're just going to kick harder. So it's really tricky, especially because a lot of people can get violent around these concepts, and it is a matter of kind of holding that tantruming like 2-year-old that is kicking and throwing punches, and you might get a black eye from them, but they're not going to calm down with more anger. They're going to calm down when they feel safe and loved. So that's the invitation for this season, for this time of July, is trying to face the opening up of taboo with love, with compassion. And love does not mean you allow yourself to be punched. It doesn't mean that you lay down and you allow those who are in a fearful rampage to harm other people. Love should be protective and strong and powerful, but not mean, not aggressive, and not continuing to exacerbate the fears or shaming people. So that's a tall order, especially if dealing with these taboos is personally triggering for yourself. So you are also, this isn't a time to be a martyr. The Cancer season energy is available for you as well, to be nurtured, to be cared for. And so you take rest, you do what you can to to be embracing and holding those around you that may be experiencing fear as taboo comes up. Handle them with care and love. And then when you are tapped out, you retreat to your safe space. You receive. You have to learn how to receive in order to be able to keep doing the work and the difficulty that may be involved in this. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. And then if you burn out too much, you're just going to then feed it and exacerbate the problem. If you start getting angry, if you start getting aggressive because you're tired and burnt out, now you're going to be working against yourself. So rest is critical to the health of the whole system. So yeah, you are both part of the solution and worthy of receiving the solution. So that's the kind of beginning of July, is that invitation, or first 2/3 of July during Cancer season. Then we get Leo season. Leo's all about expression and standing in the light and being seen. And so this is also an interesting experience to get to bring the idea of taboo into a season that's all about visibility and standing up in front of people and showing yourself off, because that's kind of how you deal with taboo, is you got to bring it to the light, and we all have to look at it and collectively decide what to do with it. So to end of the month is if we've managed to do the emotional work of caring for some of the tantrums of fear that come up around unearthing it, we've tended to that first, so we personally and those in the collective are stable enough to then bring it to the light and shine that kind of Leo, put it on center stage, and what are we going to do with this kind of thing. If we do that too fast, there's going to be a lot of kickback and it just gets shoved right back down again. So that's culturally and personally. If you yank up your trauma too fast before you've given yourself self-care and support, you're just going to say nope and put it right back down again. So yeah, this beginning of July is super critical to give us a stage of safety in order to, when we bring it up to light, it will be palatable, and then we can have the courage to deal with it. So not a small order, Scorpio. It's an exciting month ahead, but it's all part of the good work, because that's one less skeleton in your closet, and it makes the next one and the cleaning of it significantly easier. So that's what's coming up for July. A lot of skeletons, it seems, and the opportunity to speak love and strength, not in martyred weakness, into that. So that's what's up for you this month. If you want more, actually, yeah, it'd be really helpful, since there's so much energy Cancerian healing in this moment. Check out my Cancer season forecast on the YouTube channel, and it's got a lot more specifics of what the planets are doing, so more specific energies that are going to be happening during this time, as well as another tarot reading, just to give a little bit more kind of collective guidance. So that's going to be super helpful for you, so definitely go check that out. Pay what you can. Appreciate every donation. It helps me keep making content, and I will see you next month. Take care, Scorpio.